Hello guys, welcome to a new video. I'm Joy and today I am going to be making my first Unity tutorial and I'm going to show you how to make an object move in today's tutorial. For this tutorial you should have Unity and Visual Studio downloaded. I'll have the links so you can download them in the description. And to create a new project you have to click on this new button in the Unity hub, and when this thing loads up it should be like you can use any version. I'm going to be using 2020.1.11 f1 whatever, and you can like name it. This is the folder it's going to be saved, so this is the name of the folder where everything will be saved. I already have a project made, so I won't make a new one. And down here you can choose the file where you want to save it. I'm saved it in my usual directory where I save everything. And so after you do that, and it should open up into this. So the first thing we need to make an object move is, of course, we're going to need a platform. So we are going to make a platform by right clicking in this area where you can see all these main camera and lights. This is the hierarchy, as it says here. This is where all the game objects are basically like the objects in the game. Yeah, I mean that's like obvious, are going to be stored here along with other things like your UI elements, so basically like any buttons or text on the screen and other things like lights. So you just right click and I'm going to make a three cube. It should okay. So on the right side now there's a bunch of stuff. So this is a transform, which is basically the position, so I can just change it to like make the cube move. The rotation, so that'll make the cube rotate, and the scale, which is basically the size. So I'm going to reset all of these now by just right clicking there, reset, and that's going to make it go back to 0 0. So the first thing we need to do is we need to first make a big platform. So what you can do is you can just, you see these things on top, so these are what do you use to change things about the object. So if you press W, it selects the first one, which is move, so you can move it around. Lets you rotate the cube. uh, R lets you change the size, and that's P, which does this. I don't know what that is, but it's something. So I think it like shows you the borders and stuff, and lets you rotate. Let's see resize. Okay. So another thing, you use the right button to look around, like on you use it to turn your camera around, and if you hold right and you use WSA, you can move around, and Q and E to go up. Middle click lets you like just move the entire frame around. Left click to select stuff, and yeah, middle. So if you press Alt and left click, you can look around. Alt and middle click to just move, and Alt and right click to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so after we have done that, I'm gonna make this cube a bit bigger, say around 100 by 100. Actually, that's too big. I'll reduce the size a bit to let's 20 by 20. That's good. And now if we go into the game scene, we see this giant platform. So let's change the camera around so we can actually see the entire platform. So I'm just gonna move it back a bit up, and I'll rotate it down a bit so we can see the platform. I'll move it back a bit more. Okay, so that's good. I'll just round off these values. 6 minus 15 and 25. Okay, I think I'll move it back a bit more. Okay, that's good. So 16. Okay, so after we have done this, I think we should give it a color because this looks kind of plain. So we just click down here and we click on create, and we go to material. I'm gonna call this blue because it's gonna be blue in color. So we just click this thing next to albedo, and I'm gonna select blue here and go for that color. Yeah, that looks good. And now we can just drag it onto our object or onto it in the hierarchy. So it's blue now. So now if you were to change this, the platform will also change in color. Okay, so now I'm going to rename this platform to platform platform, and I'm gonna make another object. This is gonna be the player. So player, and I'll just set its location to 0, 0, 0. But now it's on the floor, so I'm gonna lower this thing by 1, and that's the wrong value. Y minus 1. So now the view will be on the platform. So okay, so the first thing we need to do is I'm gonna give it a new color. So again, I'll make it red here. Okay, and it's gonna be red. Cool. So drag it onto that. So now we have a player, and now we're gonna make him move. So I'm gonna use WSA and D to make him move front, back, left, and right. So the way we do that is we make a new script. So we're going to right click, create, and C# script. I'm going to name this player movement. Okay, then you just double click on it and it should open up in Visual Studio. One second. Reload. It should take a second and should load up here. So I'll just navigate to it from there. Okay, so we have the script now, and we have two functions here, so void start and void update. So void start will be called as in whatever is written in between these brackets will between the two curly brackets will happen whenever the game first starts. Wait one second, wrong screen. So whatever is written between these two curly brackets will happen whenever the game first starts, and the void update, whatever is written between these two curly brackets, will happen. Why is it? Will happen every frame. So every frame, whatever is written here, will be called. The first thing we need to do is we need to detect. So we need to move the player when we press W. An easy way to do that is we add a component called. Let me just minimize these first because it's kind of annoying. We add a component called rigid body. Okay, and we also gonna add the player movement script to the player. So what this rigid body does is we can so in our script what we can do up here is, so we can make a thing called rigid body, and we'll call it RB for now. So what we can do is in the update we can check if you have pressed the W key, and then we can call it. So we can then ask the we can then apply a force on the player through rigid body. So if we save this and go here, so we have to reference the rigid body in the script, but we can't do that now because it's a private right now, meaning we can't see it in here in the inspector on in code. So we can either call it public, wrong place, public, or we could type serialize field here. Now the difference between the two is public makes it accessible through different scripts, while serialize field will only make it accessible in the inspector. So I'm just going to use public for now because it doesn't really matter that much right now. So if we go back here, we see that we have this empty area here. So we just drag this rigid body onto there. So now what we can do is let's apply a force to the player in the start method. So we can type RB dot add force, and then we open these brackets, and now we have to type in the direction and the amount in each direction we want it to be. So it's going to be in X, Y, and Z. If we go back to our Unity, we see here that in the top right we have this thingy which has X, Y, and Z written on it. So if we were to look at it from the front, oh wait, that's the back. From the front, we see that X is to the left, Y is to the top, and Z is in the back. So if we were to apply a X force, so a force of like some number, then it would move in this direction, and Y will make it move in that direction, and Z will make it move in. Okay, that's negative Z. Okay, it'll make it move in this direction. Let's just go back, turn around. Yeah, Z will make it move in this direction. We can also add negative values to move in the backwards. What we can do here, so let's add a force of, let's say, 20 in the X, 0 in the Y, and 0 in the Z. We'll just put a semicolon in the end to close it. And if we were to let it recompile, 1 second, this will just take a second. And now if we click on this play button, we should see the player move to the right with a force of 20, and that didn't happen. Let me just increase the force, that will work. Okay, yeah, so it moves. But I think what the problem is, floor is like too hard. So since this box colliders and all, there's friction on the floor, so the player can't move. So let's create a new physics material right here. I will name it slippery, and we'll set the friction to a very low number. You want 0 is fine, 0 is fine. 0, and now we can just drag it onto our platform. So now if we were to click play, we would see that it moves a lot. I'll just play it again. So it moves even more. So now what we can do is, if we just get rid of this code, we can create an if statement in here. So if we type if input dot get key code dot w. So now this, whatever is in these two curly brackets, happen only when we press W. So let's type rb dot add force. So we want it to move that way, so let's make it in the Z. So 0, 0, 200. Okay, so let's just test this first, and then we'll add it for the rest of the keys, so A, S, and D. So now when I press W, it flies off the map. Yes, exactly what we want. So I'm just gonna reduce this value a bit. That's it, 20. And what I'm also gonna do is, instead of writing the value here, let's make an integer. So we'll call it public in, and this time I'm going to use serialized field because I don't want this integer or number to be changed outside of this code. I'm also going to make the top one an integer. I mean serialized field. Okay, so we'll make int and we'll call it forward force. Equals, and we'll set the default value as 20. So what this will let us do is, instead of fixing the value of the force we want to be like a specific number, we can change it in the inspector to whatever we want. So let's say we are testing the game and we feel like this is too slow or this is too fast. We don't have to go back into the code and change it. We can just change it right there. So I'll just show you an example. So we start the game and SW, so that's like way too less, and we just increase this to like bajillion, and it's gonna fly off. But when you stop playing, it's gonna reset the value. So I'm just gonna increase this to let's say 60, and I'm also gonna make this platform a bit bigger because it's way too small. Let's say 50, 50. Can we see the whole platform? No. Camera. Uh, Move it back, I guess. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. Okay, cool. So I'll just save that, and I'll make this minus 27. And now what we can do next is we can add the force for all the different keys. So I'll just do that real quick, or I could just copy paste this. That's smart. So we're gonna need 4 of these. So for this one we need S. This one we'll keep it as A, and this one we'll keep it as D. So here we want it to move backwards with the same force, so we'll make it negative. And for the A, we don't want it to move forward, so let's create a different integer for it. Serialize field int sideways force equals to 20 as default. Now I'm having two different integers for the two different directions because I mean if we want to like move in the forward at a different speed than to move sideways. So I'm just gonna change this for sideways force, and this will be negative sideways force. Okay, so now let's just make sure that A will make us move left. Okay, now A will make us move right now. Okay, pressing A will make us move to the right as of now because we are pressing A, but we are increasing the value in the X direction, which is towards the right. So let's go back to the code and change this to D and this to A. Okay, so now let's test it. Once this, okay. That didn't work. Let me just move the camera up a bit because it's hard to see what's happening. Okay. Oh wait, I see the problem. I'm putting this in the wrong area. Ha 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 ha, that has to be X. Sideways force, comma 0, comma 0. And I'll just copy this entire line. Okay. Okay. Now test. Cool. And that has to be negative. Yeah. Okay. It should work now. Hopefully. Did I make that negative? Yeah, okay, I did. So I'm gonna click again. So now we are moving to the left and the right and every other direction. And that's a little too fast in the back and forward. Wow, cubes are rotating now. Yeah. I'm gonna reset that to 20. And what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna stop the player from rotating. So we do that in the rigid body by disabling rotation. No, not position, rotation. So now our player won't be able to rotate at all. So if you just, unless we rotate it through code. Oh, it fell off the platform. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna do one more thing right now. So what is happening here is every frame we are adding this amount of force to our player. So if you have like 120 frames a second, then in every second, this force times 120 will be applied to the player. But if you have a different computer and a slower one and you're getting 60 frames, the force will be 60 times this number. So in a second, the force applied will be 60 times this number. So to equalize it among different computers, what we can do here is we can type times time dot delta, and what this does, it takes the time between this frame and the previous frame and multiplies that by this, so that evens things out. And let's just copy that, and over here, not on the zero, not on the comma, and again now it's going to be even across all different like PCs and stuff. So let's go back to the game. Okay, let's click play now, and this force will need to be like a lot higher now, because you're multiplying that by like a small number. See how less we are moving. I'm gonna make this like 200. Wow, that's still not enough. 2000. Yeah, 2000 fine. 2000. Okay, another thing is we are not stopping, like once we start moving and let go of the key, we are not stopping immediately. So what we can do is we can increase the mass or the drag or the angular drag. So I'm gonna make the drag like 100. Now we're not moving at all, so I'm gonna make that 10. Now we are moving much slower, but we're also stopping really fast. And we can also change the angular drag, reduce the rotation, but we are not doing anything with rotation right now, so that doesn't matter. Now I'm just gonna increase this a bit, not 25,000, 500. Okay. So now we have pretty good player movement in, and you can mess around with the values and change it however you want to, like to make it feel better if you wanted to. If this doesn't feel good enough, 3,000, that could be better. Okay, yeah, that feels better. So yeah, that's gonna be all for today. In the next video, I might show you. I think I'll probably like show how to make the camera follow the player, or I will show you how to jump. So that's gonna be all for today. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.